So I wanted to get into dreams, and I was kind of reluctant to get into dreams because ah, it's so, it's so difficult to explain the experiences of dreams and like the other things that come with it, like astral traveling and like different different things in different spaces. Because even in my own experiences, it's very hard to pinpoint things because every time I'm in these spaces, I ask questions, but like the answers that I get are like you don't already know. Like it's so strange because the beings that I meet when I go into the dream world let's just say dream world for now, it's almost like they can't tell me where I am because I'm supposed to know where I am. And if they told me where I was, then it wouldn't be dependent on what I know of how to get there. But they give me hints and clues within the dream in order to get there. But it's in such a code that I have to think about it. And I can't think about it within the dream because if I think about what's happening within their dream, I lose consciousness because my conscious frequency, I'm already using all of my force to stay conscious within the space because it takes a lot of conscious force to stay lucid within the dream when you're not within your personal dream space. Like when you're in see okay, let's get into it, right? So I can only really talk about dreams from my experiences, and I try to be scientific with it, and I try to keep, but at the same time, I try to keep it abstract and creative, because I don't want to be esoteric. I want to be natural. I want to be like, this is life. This isn't some book I'm reading to you. This is real life. So I started having dreams when I was really, really young, right? And they used to be like horrible, horrible dreams. And then I got to a point in my life where dreams I noticed that dreams could tell the future, right? But then I noticed dreams had nothing to do with life. But then I noticed dreams had everything to do with life. Then I noticed dreams could tell you what you're thinking or like what you're feeling inside, or dreams could tell you how other people are feeling inside, or sometimes you can go into other people's dreams in your dream and talk to them in their dream and then meet them in real life, and then they say, I just had a dream about what we're talking about. So dreams are so vast, like it's all I think it's impossible for me to, like, in this recording right now, to actually get really into it like I want to, because I just don't have the answers. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna go into as much as I know, and I'm gonna try to stay true to my experiences and try not to talk outside of that. So let's go into like the first part of dreams, which is like prophecy. Now, I can't say specifically this is why it happens, but I do know that your higher self is always looking at you. Your higher self is always with you. The higher self encompasses all your frequencies, but you can't necessarily always feel your higher self's frequencies because it's invisible to you, because it's watching you. Like, it's seeing what you're doing. It's seeing, like, when you're able to be receptive to something, it sends a vibration. But when you're not receptive to something, it just watches you and waits till the next time you're receptive to it. Then when you're receptive to the vibration, it sends that vibration out. But it knows how to send the vibration out, right? And it knows how much or how less or how long and the time duration and the space that you're in order to receive that vibration, which is a gem to how our minds is to our emotions and what we're doing. But anyways, and that was my higher self just put that on me right there. Not trying to sound like super esoteric and a weirdo, because this is natural life, but sometimes it sounds like that, right? So your higher self is reaching out to you, right? At all times, but it's not reaching out to you in the sense of do this or do that. It's just the frequencies and vibrations. Well, most of the times we're more receptive when we're sleeping because we don't necessarily have autonomy over our being. and are talking about the complete being of the three worlds, no matter which octave of the three worlds that you're in. So when your higher self reaches out to you, it talks to you in forms of experiences. Now, first, your higher self may talk to you in thoughts, right? And it just be like words in your mind, and then eventually you'll start seeing the words, and then eventually you start seeing symbols that represent words, but it's not spoken. You just see it and you understand it on a subconscious level, but you can't say it yet because it's silent knowledge. Then it gets to the point to where you start seeing colors and frequencies and vibrations. You start seeing them like you start seeing them intuitively, right? And you can't say what they are, but you know what they are. Then eventually it turns into an image. Then eventually the image starts to move. Eventually the image starts to have color. Eventually the image starts to move and have color, and now it's interactive. And then eventually it gets to a point to where it's no longer something separate that you're looking at. Now you're inside of it. Now you're inside of this experience. And then the experience is almost as real as this one. You can touch things, you can feel things, you can smell things. I don't really necessarily smell things, but I know it's possible because I've had dreams where I've smelled things. But for me, it's mostly like touch, and it's mostly like emotional feelings and thought patterns, and I could sense things on a different type of level that's more sensitive than the third dimension, but it also relates to the third dimension. So my higher self sets up these environments for me in order to explore who I am and to tell me something. Like, for instance, I had a dream recently to where I was on the street, and it was a group of people getting onto this bus, like a huge group of people, and they're all trying to crowd onto this bus. And I was like, women and children first. But I had a split consciousness at the time, and it's like, are you saying women and children first because you truly believe that? Or are you saying women and children first because it's socially acceptable to do that so you can look a certain way? But then the split consciousness went away and my dream continued. But all of this happened at the same time. We're in the dream space. The time is not linear. It's cyclical. And it doesn't have a duration. It's just everything's happening within the same moment. So then we all get on the bus, and then I look up to my left, and there's a huge tidal wave coming, and it's going to just completely destroy us, right? So that was my higher self telling me, like, look, you have to really understand like how people are seeing you and how society sees you, and you have to understand how you see yourself. Because once you're able to see who you are, you can dictate how other people see you, right? And then when the wave coming is like a change is about to happen, like a big change. But like when I saw the wave coming, it wasn't necessarily fear. It was more like worry, but it was a very toned down worry. So it wasn't like a, oh my gosh, we're gonna die feeling. It was like, dang, like what are we gonna do, right? But it wasn't like a panic. So in my life, certain things happened to where that dream played out. And it played out just like in the dream, except for things in the dream weren't literal translations of what happened to life in my life. They were the principles of what was happening within my dream, right? That happened in life. So a lot of people would translate their dreams to be like, oh, that didn't mean anything. It did mean something, but your higher self can't tell you exactly what it means, because your mind doesn't have the capacity and the frequency to realize how to put everything exactly the way you need it to be in order for you to understand it directly, because ultimately we don't know ourselves. Like, we're out of touch with ourselves. So when at a certain level of a spiritual person's life and experience, and they become deeper within themselves, their higher self expresses itself to them to show them what's happening within their own world and what's going and what possibly could happen. Now, the deeper and deeper you get into it, the more and more inconsistent it is, because this world teaches us to think of logical from this point to this point. But in the dream world, everything is illogical. Nothing makes sense the way it's supposed to make sense. So you have to get your mind into a point of view to where you're not using your mind anymore. It's like your mind is a tool, that's it. But your ego and mind are not the same thing. Your ego is using your mind. And then you keep training your ego to think like that. The ego is using the mind, is using the mind, is using the mind. And I've been trying to do this for years and years and years, and I think I've made 0.001% progress. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you're tested on it. And your higher self expresses that in your dreams, and it tests you in real life. And once you go through those tests in real life and you handle the situation at the most optimal level with you addressing your desires within those moments, and you do it to a higher degree than you did last time, then you're awarded more force, or you're awarded more accessibility to a certain type of frequency that will help you get to a higher place, which often leads to different experiences and higher experiences to help yourself. But your higher self also knows that if it gives you too much experiences, in my case, if it gives you too much experiences, you get to like a spiritual spiritual pride, to where it's like, oh, I want these experiences. Like you're trying to meditate for experience, you're trying to go to sleep and have dreams just for the experience, you're trying to do all this for experience, and you're not actually doing it anymore for the love of life. Now you're doing it for the what can I see, what can I experience. So your higher self knows these things. So when you start getting into like the spiritual pride, then your dreams starts waning. Your dreams starts becoming more and more hazy. Then your dreams start becoming cut off to you, because you no longer hold the capacity for that type of frequency anymore. Which happens to me a lot, because I'll be doing my own thing, and then the higher self frequency hits me, and I start having dreams. And the dreams start talking to me, and I start going through the dreams and exploring the dreams and into the dreamscapes. Then I get addicted to it. I get addicted to what is this? Like, I'm trying to figure things out right now, instead of trying to take the lessons that the dreams are offering me in that moment and take those lessons and break the principles down to see how I can apply it to my daily life. But I get so caught up in the experience that I forget that, hey, this experience is just a small part of this totality, and I'm getting caught up in the illusion, and I'm getting caught up in the Maya, which is a very dangerous thing. And I'll go into like the illusion and Maya later and why it's so dangerous.